When people talk, listen, man, I'm going to raise that red flag.
This narrative, especially after 1 year.
1 year.
One bad year. It's one big splash move. And because I don't think people understand how much cap space we can create.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you're a very humble person.
And I'm never going to be right about anything.
Yeah.
I was right.
Hello again. What's up, guys? I'm back. I'm actually really enjoying doing this because it's bringing me back to like the research kind of stuff that I like to do. And I'm just getting tired of being on my phone and like writing out tweets or, and then arguing with them because I have to explain through words that can be taken out of context with a certain amount of characters. So I like doing this. So this is a lot more fun. So I'm back here to talk to y'all. We just watched the Commanders win, which is what I bet because I've been paying attention. So I'm happy about that. So I wanted to kind of go into... Well, I want to start with this. I am not most Panthers podcast, and I don't say things that we should do, because for the most part, what we should do is very simple in my mind. Yes, we should get a better receiver. We should get T. Higgins. I know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. We should get Josh Sweat. And then we go over this draft and we say, this is what we should get. Sure. I don't care what we should get. I know who I like. I'm going to tell you what I think the Panthers will do based on what they've done, based on how they're building their roster from how I see it. So that's kind of what I do here. So I'm not trying to be like mean when I talk about the Panthers, because I want the Panthers to do well. I like the Panthers. And I'm not saying that I like these people that they're going to get. Sometimes I do, but I'm not very good at that. I'm not a scout. I'm not Dunk. I'm not Ricky. I'm not. And if you don't know who those people are, Dunk does Unnecessary Bluntness. Ricky Bo Body. He was my old co-host for Kitty Lit. He's on Panthers on Tap, and they go into deep detail about why they like guys. They do big boards. They do that sort of stuff. I have other skill sets. I can put puzzles together. I am good at math. So and I want to make that very clear, because I feel like a lot of pushback that I get when I, say things or put things out in the Twitterverse or social media in general, it's not personal to the Panthers. It's how I see it and how I see it moving forward, and disproving what the media puts forward or what the average day-to-day Panthers fan is blind to see. So I try to just prove what I think will happen, and I'm right a lot of the time. And I'll go through credibility later, because I feel like that's missing a lot too when I say things. Is that if you're like just joining and you've never heard me do anything before, you don't understand that. So I'll talk about that later. But I want to talk about the Commanders and how they went from second worst team in the NFL to going to the NFC Championship game. And it's starting to become a little bit of a trend. The Texans were the second worst team, and then they won a playoff game last year, and they won a playoff game this year. And it's not because of Stroud. Stroud has not been playing very well. They changed the mindset of the organization. They changed the character of the organization. They changed the goals of the organization. They raised the standard, as Dunk would like to say, on if you follow him on Twitter. That's what we need to do. We need to raise our standard and stop apologizing for mediocre to poor ownership in front office and coaching and play. Because we were the worst team last year, and the Commanders were the second worst team. We raised our wins by 3 games. The Commanders are in the NFC Championship game. So what's the difference? And I want to disprove this whole, well, they already had talent. Then why were they the second worst team in the league? Oh, they had cap space. And brought in who? They didn't bring anybody that we couldn't have brought in. Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Zacchaeus. They didn't bring anybody in. They had Jaden Daniels, who I think is and I've said this on Twitter, talk about credibility. I said that Jaden Daniels is who you thought CJ Stroud was. He's the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen. And I said it in September, and they're in the NFC Championship game now. Oh, wow. I thought you just said stuff, Alex. No, this is this is heavily thought out. All of this, everything I say is heavily thought out. I'm not just saying things on a whim, and if I am, I tell you I am. So let's look at they have talent argument. It's all I hear whenever I say that Panthers need to be held to a higher standard. And I can't believe how much pushback I get when I'm like, they're the worst defense of all time. Oh, well, you know, they fixed the offense this year. They're going to fix the defense next year. What? Why is it pick and choose? You can fix both. It's not all about the draft. Also, draft better. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're competing against good organization. It's not like they're going to get worse. They're not going to become a worse organization. So it's like, like, why we're going to have to start doing what they do. The Rams were 5-12 in 2022. They won the Super Bowl, and everybody said they went all in. Their cap's killed. They can't keep any of their good players. They're old. Their players are old. They're moving on. And then they were 5-12. They lost. Let's say for the Super Bowl team. They are almost to the NFC Championship game. It's gonna be them with the Eagles. In 2022, they were 5-12. They lost Aaron Donald, Van Jefferson, Ashawn Robinson, who we have now, Jordan Fuller, who we have now, Bobby Wagner, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey, Robert Woods, Andrew Whitworth, Austin Corbett, who we have now, Von Miller, Johnny Hecker, who we have now, and OBJ. We lost Brian Burns and Frankie Louvu. Like, we haven't had half of these players, the level of players on this team, ever. I mean, we have, but like for the most part, we haven't. Like, that's all their receivers except for Cooper Kupp. And they drafted Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Fisk, Verse. This was 2 years ago. The next year, they were in the playoffs. And the following year, they won their division, and they're a game away from the NFC Championship game. Like, don't tell me it takes this long to the next year after losing all those players. Half of those players are Hall of Fame players. At least all pro level players. Like Andrew Whitworth, Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey. And 2 years later, they're like, I get so sick of this. Like, you know, it takes time to rebuild. No, it doesn't. The Rams are proving that. Because that's what good organizations do. The Eagles, when Jalen Hurts got there, they had a new coach. It's 2020. It's 2020. This is 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Or 5 years ago. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 5 years ago. And they had just come off the Super Bowl as well. So they lost all their players. Alshon Jeffrey, Miles Sanders, Jason Kelsey, Malcolm Jenkins, Fletcher Cox, Zach Ertz, Jason Peters, Javon Hargrave, Hassan Reddick. Like, these are all guys we want. They lost all of those guys. And they retooled. And they're a game away from the NFC Championship game. Like, you can lose players and still be good. You get new players. You make trades. You work your cap correctly every time. Well, we don't have the talent and the cap space. Why don't you have the talent? They lost all that talent and they retooled. Rams did this when they didn't have any first round picks. Like, remember that they were the team that was like screw those picks and trading them away. And they found Puka Nacua in the 5th round and they coached them up. And look out for Jordan Whittington next year and Davis Allen. Like, why do we keep on the same stupid narrative? They just lost all these players. And let's go to the Commanders. Commanders got a new coach from last year. This is their entire offense from last year, outside of Terry McLaurin. They had Logan Thomas, Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gibson, and Curtis Samuel, right? And they drafted De'Ami Brown, who's basically nothing. You tell me we couldn't have got Zacchaeus in free agency? We couldn't have got Noah Brown in free agency? We couldn't have got Zach Ertz in free agency? Like, we could afford them now, like during the year. Austin Eckler, like how good would an Austin Eckler have been for Bryce? But instead, we decided to be the team that traded back and then traded back up for a running back off an ACL. And I like Brooks, but we could have had Braden Fisk and Austin Eckler. Braden Fisk is who they took at 59 or at 39, right? And you're telling me that everybody's doing a good job? No, they're not, because that's the standard we should have. If we want to be good and we want to win playoff games, that's what these teams are doing. They go one bad year and they're back. They lose all these good players and they're back. The Commanders lost Montez Sweat and Chase Young, two of their first round picks, two good players. Like, they didn't replace him with anybody fantastic. They changed the culture. They changed the coaching. They changed the front office. Adam Peters was out there for the taking. Dan Quinn out there for the taking. Cliff Kingsbury out there for the taking. And we didn't hire him. That's not us. It's not. And you can't be like, I give them a B+ for blah, 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 blah. No, because the standard is this. The standard is the Commanders, the Eagles, and the Rams. If you're not doing this, you get you play to win the game, and this is the standard. You get F or D or what? I mean, that's great or stupid, but if you're not them, you're not doing it. You're not doing well. And okay, so we're talking about talent. That's talent, right? We don't have the talent. We'll get the talent. We'll go get them. The Commanders have the same team as last year, except they lost all their skill players. They brought in guys that we could have brought in, and they lost half of their defensive line. These pass rushers we say that are so important, they lost 2 of them. And they're in the NFC Championship game. We as Panthers fans, we gotta change our perspective. It's been 7 years, man. Give him time. Give him time. Nobody gave Adam Peters time or Dan Quinn. They had a rookie quarterback. So let's talk about cap space, right? Because we don't have cap. We only have $23 million of cap space. I want to do an exercise, and I feel like it's going to be really boring, but I'm going to try to do it so people understand how the very simplicities, how cap is really, really, really difficult. But the main thing in cap is how you can push cap down the road. If you've heard people say that, push cap down the road. So I'm going to simplify Robert Hunt's contract a little bit, right? So we gave 5 years to Hunt and $100 million and $60 million guaranteed. It was 63, but for these purposes, we're going to say 60 million, right? So we have 20, you can write this down, 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20. That should be the annual, right? If it's broken up, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, right? and then 60 million guaranteed. That means that after 3 seasons, so it's basically a 3-year deal. After 3 seasons, we can cut him. But he can't leave. We can just cut him if we want to. We don't have to. I mean, I don't think we will, but we can. And this is the reason we do all these big deals. So what happens is Panthers are paying $100 million for a guy. No, we're not. We're paying $60 million. And then maybe we'll do like an extension and give him 2 more years. The 5 years is to help relieve the dead cap. So let's just say this is not what happened, but let's just say this is what happened. It's $100 million and 10 is a signing bonus, right? So that 10 is taken out of the first year salary. So only 10 is base salary. And the other 10 is spread out over the 5 years. So we have 10, 20, 20, 20, 20, and we go 10 plus 2, because the first year gets a 2 of the spread out salary. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So the rest of the 4 years is, instead of it being 20 million, it's 22 million against the cap. So Robert Hunt plays for 12 million this year, right? Because the 10 million. So this is so the 2 million is what we call dead cap, because that's been paid. So the cap has to come from somewhere. So 2 of the 22 million the next year is dead cap. So then we go to the next year. So he's only playing for 12 million against the cap. But the next year we say, oh, he has 22 million against the cap. What do? We restructure. We convert 8 million of the 22 million into a signing bonus. So what happens? That 8 million comes 2 more million in dead cap. So it's 2, 2, 2, 2. So we take the 22, we subtract 8, because that's a signing bonus, and we have 14. But then we have to add 2, because that's part of the signing bonus. So that's 16, and then we go add to the rest of the ways. There'll be 24, 24, 24. So that 4, now we have 4 million against the cap the rest of the time. But this year, instead of 22 million, he's only 16 against the cap. So you see how this plays out? So the dead cap comes from that. So when we do that, we add that to our overall cap. So we restructure, and instead of 22 against the cap, we get that 6 million back, and that goes to our overall cap. But when we sign people, we sign them and we say, hey, let's go get T. Higgins. He's going to be 4 years, $100 million. Well, what if we just give him 24 guaranteed and 24 signing bonus? Then that's only 1 against the cap, and that 24 million spread across the 4 years. So what's 24 divided by 4? It's 6. So we go 1 plus 7. T. Higgins is only $7 million against the cap. So this cap stuff is so stupid. Never, ever, ever, we only have 23 million in cap. Well, no, we don't. We can cut players. We can restructure. That's how the Saints did it for so long. Their problem is they just let this cap build up, and they never relieved it. So that's so there is more nuances into this. Like if you say you get if you throw for 5,000 yards, you get an extra blah blah blah. That's a nuanced part of the cap that I'm not going to get into. But there are nuances in the cap that make it a little different than what I said. But that's the basic point of the cap. That's why last year when I said, guys, there's cap that you're not seeing. There's cap, and we have no dead cap. So that's why I said, hey guys, we're going to spend more money than you think we are. And then when we didn't cut Adam Thielen and Miles Sanders and all those people, I said, it looks like we're making a play for 2025. And I have a tweet about it, because we're keeping these guys. We're eating that contract so we don't have to restructure, and we don't have to fill that roster spot with more dead cap. we're eating these larger contracts for older players instead of kicking them to the curb. So that's cap. I mean, so we can find cap. We always can. Taylor Moton, what does he have, $31 million against the cap? That's not going to happen. We're either going to cut him or we're going to restructure him with an extension. And that's why extensions matter. So anytime you see people getting extensions, it's because they want to take that big number you see and they want to spread it out because they want to give them guaranteed money. And players love it because they're at that moment in time, they're getting a signing bonus. So that's the manipulation of the cap. And it's not that easy. It's more complicated, which is why there's only, that's all that one person is doing. That's all Brant Tillis is doing. Because Dan Morgan is going to be the scout guy and Tillis is being the numbers guy. And that's why we got even more disappointed. That's why it's even more disappointing of the players we brought in. We had the worst defense of all time. And our GM doesn't even deal with numbers. He can put all his focus on the players. And he's still the worst defense of all time. That's unacceptable. So I just told you that these teams lost all their players and they just went right back to the playoffs. That's not an excuse. We're just debunking that. Cap, not an excuse. We have plenty. Next year, I'm going to say it again. We are going to make... I can't say that because I don't know if all the players are going to want to come here. But we are going to offer big contracts to people. Because we don't have dead cap. And we're going to make cuts. I don't think Miles Sanders is going to be here next year. Who knows if Adam Thielen is going to be here next year? These kind of players, we can cut and get off their contract because their guaranteed money is over. They have some dead cap, but we're going to have money, I guarantee you. So let's talk about credibility. Because what's happened in journalism in general is that it doesn't matter if you're right. You want to say things that people want to hear. So with what's going on with the Panthers is we get so involved, or with what's going on with the Panthers fans, and we're so involved in what could happen, what we want to happen, what people are saying about us, because we want to feel good about our team instead of ignoring that we had the worst defense of all time. And we needed 3 overtime wins to get to 5 wins. If Andy Dalton was starting, this is the 1-win team. Because the games we won, only Bryce could have done that. Because he was special in those games. I mean, I think we all can agree about that. If Andy Dalton's pulling what he did against the Commanders, they ain't winning. They ain't coming close to winning those games. So you're looking at 1-16 team. That's how bad we are without Bryce. But that's not thought about. Not even that. We're not even giving Bryce credit, really. There's still people out there that don't believe in him. This team would have been nothing without him. So everybody wanted Ben Johnson. Let's start there. Everybody wanted Ben Johnson. If you didn't want Ben Johnson, you wanted Slowick or you wanted somebody. And I came out and said, I said it definite. I probably have like 4 tweets about it. We're hiring Evero as defensive coordinator, and Canales is going to be the head coach. And I said it was going to happen soon. Because I read the tea leaves, and I gave you reasoning. And everybody wanted it to tell me I was wrong. But these things are, like, if they're right in front of you, you can look at them. That's why I always say when people talk, listen. I said the way Brian Burns has been treated, it looks like he needs to go. And people don't realize that, like, they think of these players as just like as numbers and stuff. It's like, no, this guy was performing. He went to a Pro Bowl. We didn't extend him. We weren't offering him market value. And that's what happens when you wait on players. That number only goes up. So when you have an incompetent front office, that extension ain't going to happen, and you're pissing off this player. You want good players in? Keep good players. And you don't. I mean, everybody else sees it. The rest of the locker room sees it, and they're looking and they're like, "Well, what are they going to do with me?" The rest of the league is looking at it. They're like, "Wow, Brian Burns, he's a good player for the Panthers. Why aren't they extending? Why aren't they paying him?" So you go this whole time, and instead of getting money, you get a pizza party. You get a good job. So I said he probably needs to move on. What happened? He moved on, and everybody, it's like these things that are right there, and everybody got mad at me when I said it at the time, but that's what happened. I came out and said, look out, guys. There's flaws in CJ Stroud's game. I said he only likes to roll out right and then throw to the middle of the field. And if I'm seeing this as a guy, defenses are going to see it. If he gets pressured, he rushes throws. He doesn't know how to throw the ball away. We saw that today. And I was like, Bryce is on the other hand. Like, he's doing a lot of good things that people don't see because they don't watch them. But biases by media and fans said small is bad. And we should have got the tall guy. And I tweeted it. I said, it was Pat McAfee's, I don't want to overreact. And it was in like October of last year. I said, I don't want to overreact, but Bryce is the best quarterback in this class. After he was bad. And I said, CJ's going on all these podcasts. When I was on Ricky's show, and I said, CJ's going on all these podcasts. I'd be worried. Because he's not thinking about his team. He's not thinking about getting better. He's thinking star. And when you just get rid of that focus, it's an 8-8 league. Thank God they had one of the best defenses in the league and one of the best running games in the league. Because he ain't been playing good. But it was all there for us to see. And if we just stop instead of criticizing and thinking we're right about everything, especially if you don't have anything to back it up, we just, all of us would just rather be right than think that they can learn something from somebody else. And I'm that way too. We all are. We all want to be right. And I'm wrong a lot too. But I'll listen to them. I'll ask why they think that way, what the data is to back it up. If they tell me we don't have the talent or the cap, explain that to me. You don't just say stuff because you're regurgitating it from a show that all they want to do is make you feel good or make you laugh. How many times has Stephen A. been right about anything? He's going to be the highest paid journalist in sports. He said Bryce was the biggest bust ever for number one pick. Like, sure, you can enjoy your content and think because he's on TV that he's gonna be right. But he's rarely right. Publicly traded companies look at the data that you give them and they say, hey, talk about this because people will like it. Talk about Caitlin Clark and LeBron James and the Dallas Cowboys. And then we'll touch on these other stuff because if we want to just hate on them. ESPN spent a whole week, but all they talked about was how bad the Panthers were. So we gotta not only hold our team accountable, we gotta hold the information that we get accountable. We got to stop assuming because this person said it, it's right. And if I'm sitting there on a podcast and I'm saying, this is why I think this is why I think this is why I think this. And you're like, well, I heard it from this expert, so I'm just going to regurgitate that instead of having independent thought. Because I'm having an independent thought and I'm calling all these things that are right there in front of me. I said, be worried about Eddie Pinheiro. I was like, because look at the body language. I said, look at the body language when he misses kicks. It's a shrug. I got so much pushback for that. He's the most accurate kicker of all time. I was like, I'm looking at body language, man. I'm looking at him missing practices or OTAs. That guy don't care about his team. That guy cares about making money. He don't care if he misses or makes. He wants to make money. We gotta get out of this. I only want to listen to people who say what I already inherently think. Because then that's all the information you're gonna get. Because everybody wants to be I don't want to say star, but they want to get their subscribers up. They want to get their numbers up. ESPN wants you to watch more. They want you to pay for ESPN Plus. So they're going to say stuff that gets you to view. If you only want to view what you want to hear, then that's what you're going to get. And I'm going to get up here. I don't care about subscribers. I'm going to tell you what I think. And I'm going to give you data to back it up. And I'll be right a lot more than those people are. And I have receipts to back it up. But it's not like I'm like a genius. I'm just saying, well, this is what's happening. So logically, this is going to happen. Well, no, because Cap and the talent. We'll get better talent. I don't know what to do. Well, we can't fix the defense because we fixed the offense this year. What? The Commanders just fixed the defense and offense and going to the NFC Championship game. What do you mean you can't fix both? Like, and I'm kind of just like, I'm kind of ranting here, and I know it's probably just wasting time, but it's so important that if you want to get better and you learn more and not be sad when things happen, like be ready for it because you're warned, then don't watch people that don't know anything. I don't know. Actually, I don't know anything. I just give you reasoning why I think the way I think. I hope that you learn something. What I'm not going to do is just sit up here and be like, oh yeah, everything's sunshine and roses, and this is how we'll get back. We're going to be the best team in the league if we just do this, this, and this. But, it sucks because, we only have this much cap. No, we just need better coaching. We need better players. We need to treat our players better. We need to not have 7 coaches in 6 years. That's what we need to do. I don't know. But that's all I got today. I'm going to stop ranting because I'll just be here forever. And you'll be here forever. If you're so sick. All right. Peace.